Welcome to the playground. My name is Eddie Fluellen. This is the playground where the players play, and I'm your host again, Eddie Fluellen. And my guest today, Reggie Calloway of the legendary, iconic group Midnight Star, co-founder, leader of the group Midnight Star. And we'll talk about like all those hits a little bit later, because I mean, there is a slew of them. Reggie would later go on to form Calloway with his brother, and we'll talk about those hits there too. But meanwhile, Reggie, welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here, Eddie. Nice to be where the players play.
and you're a player, definitely. And now, first of all, before we go, first of all, how are you doing? You good?
Doing well.
Good.
It's exciting to be fully vaccinated, so that I can, you actually freshen up a little bit.
There you go.
It's been a rough year of lockdown.
I was just going to ask you, how was this year for you? How was this last year for you?
It was, I always work from home, so that part didn't change a lot. But what would surprise you is you would say, okay, I'm coming from this appointment, maybe at the doctor's office or whatever, or the grocery store. I think I'll stop by my favorite place and get breakfast, and you realize I can't do that.
Right. Right.
I go to the movies like once a week, so I can't do that. The grandkids, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So it gets to you, but. If you go introspectively and try to think about what you can do to do those things you haven't been able to touch, but that are right there in your face, then you focus on that, then you can get through.
There you go. How have you kept motivated during the? Have you continued writing? Has that been? I know because as musicians, we're creative people. That's just what we do. And when that's shut down, how have you kept motivated through that?
We use real life things to kind of motivate us. I was writing a book. I was finishing my first book.
All right.
So it's about the art of songwriting and some tips, songwriters can use and things to look for and to prevent from kind of getting off track. But in the middle of the book, then the election was getting ready to happen, and we could see that the most important thing that we could do at that time was to encourage people to vote. So my brother and I released a song and wrote a song called Politics that came out, and this voting season was a record high. So we take a little bit of credit, just a tiny little bit. It's like just enough to say that makes it one of our biggest records. With so many people voting. So
okay.
So that's a real life experience, and then. I have a new single out right now called Sabrina that we can talk about later.
Yeah, beautiful.
Music keeps playing, and even wrote more songs about what we're going through. One called Enough Is Enough. So one who it seems to you think you missed that window to where maybe people got it, but then you realize every day in the news. The world still hasn't got it, that enough is enough. So that song is still very relevant. Looking to release that one very soon as well. Then my brother Vincent has a jazz project coming out. And then we're getting ready for the next Calloway project, which, looking to really, go back to our roots on that with the funk and the techno funk and
awesome.
The dance and the party, and just say some messages around that,
cool.
That, I got one song for exercising and training. I can't say the title because somebody steals it and I'm lost.
Right.
Be careful what you say. Somebody will beat you to the point. It's all in the ether. It's about who can grab it first.
Right. You had mentioned those songs that you and your brother are working on. Will they be released under Calloway or under your brother or you, or how are they going to be released as artists?
The Sabrina is off of Reggie Calloway's solo album, Bring Back the Love. And Vince was doing a jazz album under his See No Evil brand. But then the Calloway project will be Calloway following the path of I Want to Be Rich and Freakazoid and all those hits. So,
awesome. And Reggie just named a couple of those Midnight Star major hits. And of course I had my groove on too. When I could back in the day when I could move.
Well, that's what our new song is about. That I was telling you about the exercise song. That's to get us back to where we were. You can never maybe be as good as you were, but maybe you can be better. So
Gotcha.
search for it.
Got you. I'm going to spring this on Reggie. We were just talking about before we started the show. We were just talking about, like our hair. Reggie was getting his hair together and all this. And Reggie didn't know that I was going to do this. But speaking of hair, let's see if we can get that. Yeah. This.
I had this one song I wanted to do. Well, I won't tell them. I was when my hair was long and gray before I was able to go get it cut after getting vaccinated. I tell everybody I'm doing my Morgan Freeman imitation, and I got to be not an imitation, but I'm playing the role, so I got to stay in character. But there was one song I wanted to do for my spiritual CD.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I wanted to do "You're My Music," with that total gray hair everywhere, my big fro. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't wait any longer.
Oh, right. Gotcha.
My 14th day of post-vaccination, I said, I'm going to get my hair done.
It is a thing. It is a thing. It does get to you after a while, doesn't it?
Man.
Oh, right.
It's on for a while. You're like, oh, this is just, because the first 7 months, I didn't comb my hair. I let it drip. I let it do the whole thing. I didn't comb it or cut it.
Yeah.
And I finally cut because it was getting out of control. And then the last 7 or 8 months, I didn't cut it again or color it or anything, just a la natural.
You look good, brother. You look great.
It's fun. It's fun.
Hey, I wanted to go back to like your beginning where I did with a lot of the musicians as far as your early beginnings. I did note that your thing, it was somewhat of a family affair. I mean, you had a father your father played trumpet. Your aunt, she was the opera singer. Was your
yes.
aunt?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
And then there was somebody who, let's see, uncle who had a keyboard, who was a keyboardist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just very inspirational, and there wasn't a lot of that went on, but just enough. It's the key moments when you hear those stories about the ballerina that went to her first ballet, at 5 years old, and then knew she wanted to be a ballerina from there on.
Mm-hmm.
Those moments are priceless. That's why we have to expose our children to a lot of different things. And that's what education is supposed to be about.
Thank you.
It's not to teach them everything, but to expose them to a lot of things so that they can choose which ones they migrate to. In the martial arts and the Eastern philosophies, the Dalai Lama, they put out different toys and different things and see where the child migrated to. And there's so much truth into that. So with the music, my father played trumpet in high school, but he never played, after that. But whenever we'd go to our grandparents' house, his cornet was there, which is a small
cornet. Yep.
Yeah. And he would pull it out and play a few notes for us, and then let us try to blow the horn. And my brother and I, we both play trumpet, and he plays also trombone.
Yeah, which by the way, I just got to mention, as far as your brother Vincent, I'm kind of partial to him being a trombone player myself. So I just want to get that out there.
All right, yeah.
So trombone is my second instrument. So Vincent, I was like, yeah, okay, we're there. So shout out to Vincent, your brother, by the way.
I'll do that, Eddie. But it's like the smell of the case, valve oil. You remember those from a childhood?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do remember.
It comes back to you.
Yeah.
So I grew up wanting to sing, and
oh wow!
Once I moved to Cincinnati, I joined the choir there. Of course, I was singing on the street corners in Louisville, Kentucky, in Southwood Projects as a little toddler, singing do cover.
That was everybody's song. That was everybody's brick house back in the day. Yep.
My wake up voice. But then when I didn't make the All City Boys Choir,
what?
And I stopped singing. It was like in the sixth grade. I was like, wow, I thought I was going to be pretty good. But they gave the award to Fred Hirsch, who was a child prodigy pianist.
Mm-hmm.
And Fred was our accompanist. He could play anything, sight read anything. He had to sit on 2 telephone books in order to accompany the elementary school choir. Fred went on to become one of the greatest jazz pianists of our time.
Wow.
And he's still with us. So I wasn't knocking Fred, but I was like, okay, so going to junior high school, I decided to play an instrument. And so the first instrument that came to my mind was that smell and that horn, that my father, that trumpet.
Uh-huh.
And the trumpet took me through high school, and I eventually became made the all-city orchestra as opposed to the all-city boys choir.
Oh,
So
okay.
I reached that goal and
Okay.
set first chair trumpet in the all-city orchestra, and decided
Awesome.
to go on the road with my band at that time, which was the MD Fire Department.
Which
But
was the what?
it was called MD Fire Department out of Cincinnati, Ohio.
Out of Cincinnati. Okay.
Yeah, and then at the end of that first tour, I said I got to go to college. So that trumpet took me from junior high school through college, through scholarships, to forming
Okay.
Midnight Star, to doing so many things that we did, and to learn to compose and
Uh-huh.
arrange music. So that was a great change that broadened my whole musical scope, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to just being a singer.
Gotcha, gotcha. So even in the beginning, I mean, you mentioned like your dad's cornet. When you were little, it wasn't immediate. I mean, the trumpet came a few years later.
Yes, yes. It wasn't until I mean, those days were, elementary school and pre-elementary school, and it wasn't until the 7th grade that actually I wanted to play guitar. And I go by the pawn shop and I look in the window and I see that guitar and I just wanted it so bad. But it didn't fit into our family budget. We couldn't really afford it. And if I had actually priced it out, I probably could have saved pop bottle caps until I got there.
Right, right.
But upon going to the 7th grade, I said, I want to play an instrument. I want to play the trumpet. And my mother said, well, I'll get you a horn, because I think but you have to be in the band, in the school band. Because if you're in the band, I figured you won't just quit, because most kids, they, I want this, I want that, I want, and then they quit, after a few months, and that horn sitting there looking pretty.
Right.
But she rented my first horn. My cousin helped to pay for it, so that rental turned into the first purchase, and then the second horn and the third horn.
Nice.
Still want a new horn.
Oh, okay. I got to ask you. You now is flute? I guess flute would then be your second instrument.
Yes, and in the pianos up in piano, I never had lessons or anything. But flute, I taught myself the flute as well. I wanted to add another instrument, another wind instrument to my repertoire, and saxophone's got this wooden reed that you put in your mouth. And I'm like, okay, that wouldn't read against this trumpet mouthpiece. Those are not going to work together.
Okay.
So the flute, you can just lay it, against your lip, and it's a similar armature. So I taught myself to play the flute. I drove my high school friends crazy. We were going on a college trip to Atlanta to visit all the colleges, and I got my flute. I said, by the time we get back from this bus from Cincinnati to Atlanta and back, I'm going to learn how to play the flute.
Wow. And is that how it worked out? Did you
That's how it worked. I'm on the bus playing the flute and the piano.
Wow.
I mean, we gave, and the simpler the melody, the more relaxing it is for everybody listening to it. So I got back and said, okay, the flute is I kind of know how to play this thing a little bit. And then I took a few lessons once I got to college. My jazz ensemble teacher was a fantastic woodwind, David Anderson. And I always said I played ghetto flute, meaning I had no training, and I did not want to sound pure like the pure flute is. I wanted to be like the dad flute, and I wanted that funk. So I didn't want to learn too much, but I said, could you give me a few pointers? And I realized I was playing all wrong the whole time.
Of course, right.
So he straightened me out on a few things. But now I got my ghetto plus flute playing.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because as we know, I mean, the flute is in the woodwind family and the trumpet is in the brass family, and most people keep it all in the family, right? Right. So you're like, okay, trumpet here and then flute there. It's like, okay. And I was wondering, okay, how you made that connection. And you said you're not a sax. You don't play sax.
Vincent went trumpet, trombone, but Vincent also plays sax and cello, and so he's and he plays left-handed and right-handed, so he's just a freak of nature. But there's a few guys that can play those double brass instruments, because there are people who don't know the trumpet mouthpiece is pretty small, and the trombone mouthpiece is way bigger, and tuba mouthpiece is way bigger than that. So those different armatures to make those transitions. And there's a couple of guys that do it. A trombone shorty does it amazingly well.
Oh yeah. I started out playing piano, and then my second instrument was trombone, but it started with the tuba. So it started, like you said, with that giant size mouthpiece, and then it got
Yes.
smaller with the trombone. And I thought, okay, I'm good. Okay, I could do this. I'm good. Let me do trumpet. And that trumpet mouthpiece was like, nah,
Then
And
you put a French horn, up to that, and
oh
you
yeah,
really like, I cannot play a French horn, nor do I
right,
have desire to.
right. And then the concept of just the three. Oh shoot.
Vowels.
Thank you. I was gonna
That's
say
all
three
right.
keys. No, it's not key. Yeah, the three vowels there, as opposed to like the 88 keys. I'm like, okay, so you mean I got to get like all those notes with just these three? Nah. And plus, it's hurt my mouth anyway from the trombone, so I'll just
Right.
I'll leave that to you. Awesome. So the group that you had, the MD, I forgot.
MD Fire Department.
Okay, MD Fire Department. You transitioned. How long was the transition from that to Midnight Star, and how did that whole concept come about?
Okay, so in Cincinnati was very rich with music. During that
Yeah,
time,
I know.
the talent shows and the college jamboree.
Let
So
me ask you: Do you think that was an Ohio thing? Being from Akron, do you think Cincinnati, Dayton, Akron, Cleveland?
It was just rich there. I mean, it was everywhere. I mean, not when I say everywhere, I mean there was other pockets. Memphis and
true, very true.
Detroit, of course.
I lost you. Repeat what you just said.
Chicago.
I lost you for a minute there. What you just said?
I was just saying Detroit, Chicago, Memphis. There were other pockets that had a similar thing going on, but I think in funk, when you talk about funk music, then Ohio was super rich in that area, and just R&B overall. So because we were exposed to James Brown recorded most of his hits in Cincinnati, Ohio. A lot of people don't know that. So James would do a 99-cent concert for the kids every Easter. Go see James Brown, full band, 99 cents, costumes. He didn't discount the show. He just discounted tickets for the kids. And to be exposed to that and to see a live band at that quality, and that was before Bootsy joined the band. Bootsy's from Cincinnati, then Bootsy and Phelps joined the band for the next generation of James Brown. So that took it to another level. We used to go see Bootsy, watch him practice, and sit on the doorstep and talk to his mother, and and just see cats playing real instruments and trying to make something happen. And then once they made it, then everybody, you could say, well, this is possible. We can make it too. So my first real band was the Motown Masters, and then MD Fire Department. So in the MD Fire Department, I left high school early to go on the road with the group. I was the president of the senior class, and I didn't want to leave before prom and graduation, but it was like a once in a lifetime thing. Because we were going trying to make it. We were looking for gold, and we were headed to California from Cincinnati.
Right, exactly. Right.
Asked my mother, could I go? And she was like, well, of course you can go. You take care of your things you have to take care of here. But so we toured every hole in the wall from Cincinnati to Las Vegas was our last stop. And after Vegas, that's when I said, I better go to college, because what I know about music is not enough to get to where I want to go to. I mean, we're a really good band, but to be great, you want to have more weapons, more arsenal. Sly Stone had a song called "In Time," and that was the most contrapuntal funk I've ever heard in my life. Meaning that notes were here, notes were there, but it all fit together like one big gel. I mean, how does he do that? So I decided to go to college and went back home and auditioned at Indiana University in a few places, and didn't get picked up right away. But then I got a call from Kentucky State University from the band director, Mr. Raymond P. Jordan, just recently deceased. And my band director, Mr. Turner, had made the connection. So Mr. Jordan said, I was like to come to Kentucky State, and play in my band, the marching band and the orchestra, and we had scholarships for you. I'm like,
nice. Wow.
And my mother had gone to Kentucky State, because we're from Louisville, Kentucky, prior to Cincinnati. And so it was like going home. It was far enough away, but close enough. And being, a traditionally African-American university, having that kind of vibe, not going to some big super school where you're just one little tiny, person in this big maze. It was a place to develop. And that's where, of course, I met most of the members of Midnight Star.
Oh, okay. And at college?
Yeah, college, right.
Okay.
Yeah, so that first year I joined a group there called the Funkified, which was like the college funk band. I met some great guys, Bill Simmons and Wenzel Stewart. And,
wow. Okay.
We just had a ball. And then and that still wasn't enough because we were still playing, 99% cover songs. And I wanted to write songs, and I knew that was very important to be original in order to make it in this business.
Wow. Okay.
So my brothers and I formed our jazz group called Sunchild, and that became my experimental group, for writing not only jazz music but sort of jazz fusion and experimenting with different time signatures, different keys, different chord progressions, and just really just seeing what would happen.
Right.
And we became very, very popular in the Cincinnati area at this jazz club called the Viking Lounge, which is the place where all the greats came when they came to Cincinnati, passing through. They would play the Viking Lounge. So we had the honor of being the backup band for the legendary Sonny Stitt. As college students, we were his backup band for two weeks because we used to pack the place out. I mean, you can imagine like college students being in a jazz club and just that young vibe. And the owner was like, "We got to mix this together."
Right.
So we backed up Sonny Stitt.
Behind Sonny Stitt.
Sonny Stitt. I learned a ton of stuff from him, including self-meditation, which is one of the things he wanted to transfer to me, and which comes in very handy when it's time to focus. But during that time, I made a contact that wanted to do a showcase for us in New York. She loved the band so much. Consequently, the band broke up. Two of the guys that weren't my brothers, because my brothers, we can't break up, we brothers. Right. it was Vincent, Greg, and then Johnny and Pete. Johnny and Pete, they didn't want to go any further. They wanted to try a different direction. So Sunchild broke up, and that was like an on and off, summer Sunchild, school season Funkified, marching band, jazz ensemble. And I said, I'm tired of this on and off thing. This fall, when I go back to school, I want to put together the greatest group in the world, or one of the greatest groups in the world. Wow. Just that's like, you had that focus. I mean, you had that drive even then. Yeah, that's how Midnight Star started. So I started with Bill Simmons, who also played with me in Sunchild and Funkified. And then from there, we added Jeff Cooper, Kenneth Gant, Linda Lipscomb, incredible singer, and Bo Watson. Some freshmen, the freshman class came in, Bo Watson and Melvin Gentry. I said, Bo, how would you like to join the band? Bo said, yeah, I joined the band. The next day he says, Reggie, I had to change my mind. I can't do it because me and my homeboy said we would always be in a band together. And I'm like, what does he play? He plays guitar, bass, drums, and sings. I said, let's check him out. He might be perfect for the band. Let's go. So here comes Bo and Melvin, and we take off. We take off from there. And then Vincent joined the group a couple of months later, as we were preparing to start our demos and that whole thing. We eventually did that showcase in New York with that same person who I met through Sunchild.
Wow.
And there were some executives there that Ron Mosley, Richard Aaron, that sent our message to Dick Griffey of Solar Records.
Nice.
And the rest is history. Dick Griffey signed us, and the beat goes on.
I hear you. The inspiration behind the name Midnight Star.
Every band needs a name, right? So it's always that moment was like, okay, what we're going to call ourselves. But we were very, very, high on Earth, Wind, and Fire. Probably Funkadelic. We were very high on the space future aspect of going places that no one had ever gone. And so on that night, sitting in the dormitory on the bed, because we rehearsed in the dormitory.
Wow.
We rehearsed
all those people?
All of us, we rehearsed it in my room.
What?
Right? You could, we developed a technique. The horns, everybody. We developed a technique called telephone volume. That means if we thought the dean was coming by, then we would play so soft, that you would think it was a radio.
Oh,
And
so
if you're playing good, let nobody say nothing. But if you mess up,
right,
they go catch you.
so that early you were working on dynamics then.
Exactly.
As opposed to everything being loud. Okay, down.
So we're sitting at that evening, like, what we're gonna call ourselves, and Jeffrey Cooper came up with the idea of Star. Mm-hmm. Everybody's looking around and said, yeah, that sounds pretty good. And I thought to myself, it's just a little short.
Just a little short.
How about Midnight Star? And everybody went, yeah.
Wow.
It was a rap. Wow. We didn't have to go any further. It wasn't like we had 10,000 names to choose from.
Right.
It just happened just that quickly.
Like that.
And then we coined the phrase, if you can look into the darkness and see the light, then you too can be a midnight star.
Okay. Now, did you start, I assume you started writing, I mean, even before then, but as far as like the band, when did the writing start, like for the band? Or, did you take things from there and bring it to the band, or did you like just start, okay, I got to write some music here? How did that work out?
We started out playing a lot of cover songs because we had to work. Mm-hmm. And nobody wants to come to a dance. We could play dances. It wasn't no DJs. The band was
right.
DJs put the bands out of business, but so the band had to be the DJ who played the hottest songs, as well as we're in Kentucky. We left Kentucky State once we all decided that this is what we're going for, and moved to my deceased grandparents' house and moved to Kentucky. My uncle and father made a way for us to take over the house rent free. We just had to pay the utilities and feed ourselves. Mm-hmm. So we were blessed beyond blessed. Because you can imagine when you have a 9-piece band, if you got 9 different houses, that's a lot of money you got to make.
That's a lot of money
to stay together. But if you're all in one place and it's free, then you can put everything back into getting new equipment and that whole thing. So we started playing a lot of cover songs, different rock songs, funk songs, wherever, because if we had to pay for this teenage graduation over here party, then we had to have this music, we have to have that. So we were just super versatile. And then we were getting to ease in original songs.
Okay.
Early songs, we'd write a lot of them together. All the writers would contribute different parts, or guys would write different whole songs by themselves, and we'd try them out and see what was going, because at this point it was time to do our first demo tape. And on this demo tape, we wanted to have originals, so we began to write those. I think we did a couple of cover songs that we could use to promote ourselves for gigs. So that first demo we sent to Motown, and Motown responded. It says, "We like what you're doing. Come back in about 2 years."
Oh. In 2 years?
In 2 years, I would do anything to have my hands on that letter.
Right.
And I don't think I burned it, but
right.
I mean, that's the way you felt, right? But,
right.
But it was so shocking. I mean, he could have said, "Come back in 2 months." He could have said, "Come back next year." He said, "Come back in 2 years."
Wow, in 2 years. Wow.
And the average band would be like, "Oh, we're out of here." We just
right. Oh yeah. But you persevered. I mean, you kept pushing.
We persevered through that, and the irony of it was he was right, because 2 years later we signed to Solar. So he missed out. But yeah, I mean, it takes a while, because when you think you have it, it was like we thought we were perfect. We just knew we had talent. We knew we had. We knew there was hope. There's
at least to get in the door.
Yeah, with a band, there's gelling, and you have to learn how to record, and you have to learn how to write songs.
It is, you're right.
Even our earlier albums, when I listen to them, I'm always correcting them. It's hard for me to listen to them because I'm like, oh, I would have changed that. I would have fixed that. We should have went there. Why is that so? What?
Right.
That's why I'm writing my book, to save people a lot of those troubles.
Gotcha.
There are stages, because when you're developing, you fall in love with certain things. I just love that part. You cut that out. The bands, you got 9 people saying, "Oh, don't cut my part. Don't cut my." Oh. As a producer and as a writer, you have to executive produce yourself. You have to A&R, which means artist and repertoire yourself.
No when to say when.
Yeah.
So So as far as like what when you start, you know, of course you're quite the prolific writer. I mean, you know, you got like a list of things. As far as like inspiration, how's your process? What do you do when you does it? Are you one of those that okay, I just wait for the idea to come to me? Do you go in the room and start writing? What is your process as far as writing?
That's the one thing that I pretty much don't ever do is just go in the room and start writing.
Okay.
I usually have something in mind. I mean, and I do that occasionally. And if I'm doing like a groove, a music track, or a beat, as the kids would call it,
Mm-hmm.
then I may just go in the room and start writing and just doing it. Just let something happen. Pick a tempo, pick a key, whatever. But for the most part, in writing the hits, I will generally have an idea,
Mm,
and I keep a list of ideas so I never run out. So if a person
nice.
says I have writer's block, I'm like, what is that? I can't get to all the songs. I was talking to Babyface about that, another prolific writer
Very.
that came through our camp, and sometimes you want to write 100 songs because you just want to write.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have time. You have to pick what you're going to finish for any reason. It could be because it's about your mother. It could be because it's about the state of the world today. It could be just because I'm just having a ball today and I just want to talk about it. But you want to have some kind of purpose to get to the end of that song, because at some point you got to finish it.
Mm.
You start on 100 songs and you never finish any of them, and you just got a bunch of ideas. But I keep a list of all those ideas that I don't finish. I may have 300 songs, and out of that 300, 295 of them I can sing the hook.
Wow, really?
So,
Now, does it start with lyrics and the melody, or does it start with chords? Or I mean, how does it start with you? When you say you have like a list of things, I mean, how does that list of ideas?
that list could be a list of concepts, we call them.
Oh, okay.
And it's a concept that somebody could say something in a club, and you say, "Oh, wow, that's a song." And you write that concept down. You have no idea what the melody is, or whatnot. But I can get a concept at the bar. I can go to the bathroom and come back, with half the song finished.
Oh,
as far as lyrics and melody, depending on how strong it is for me at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely a gift and a blessing to be able to do stuff like that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I can hear a door squeaking, and I can put a song to that door squeaking.
Wow, that is a gift.
So it doesn't take much for me, but the big concepts, you pick them up and they like, whoa, like the concept that I said that I have for the dance song. I can't tell it to you because you'll go, whoa.
Right.
But imagine Freakazoid. Each song has a different story. I was in California mixing a record, and some of my fraternity brothers, Omega Sci-Fi Fraternity Incorporated, what's up, brothers?
There you go.
Came by, our band house, and looking for me, and they were talking about this college term called Freakazoid. And a couple of my road crew guys, James Blackman, Mark Abrams, and Jim White, heard this conversation. When I got back, James was like, "Reggie, some of your brothers was back here talking about Freakazoid." I'm like, whoa.
And wait a minute. Now, what was that again? What was it? Where did that term come from?
They just came by. They were just using the term Freakazoid.
Wow.
This is just a street term that was going on the college campus. So they told me, I was like, "That's a song." Whoa. So I said, "We're going out in the garage right now and write this song." So that was one where the concept was so strong. I already saw the picture of where it was going, and that it was going to be techno funk, and we were getting ready to create this new style.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have it all together.
Gotcha.
So I grabbed my brother Vincent and Bill Simmons. We went out to the garage, our practice studio. I gave the guys the beat, and then we began to expound upon it. And Vincent came up with some amazing string parts and Bill's vibe into it. And before you know it, we had the groove generated by the concept of Freakazoid. I had no lyrics or anything. And then from that groove, I said, okay, now I know I want to make the most spaced out melody for this song that would be so catchy that would be like something no one had ever heard in terms of it being, this, I'll be a freakazoid, come on and wind me up. It's like, totally. What is that?
Right.
So
totally.
That's where techno funk came from. It was the idea of adding melody to a funky song that was based around computers and synthesizers. And that whole thing grew out of there. Now to beat that chorus, I had to beat it with the verse. So what kind of strange thing can I do to twist your ear And what kind of story can we tell? So then it becomes a story. Where do I get the story? You know, is it at the dance clubs? You know, down in Atlanta, everybody writes to the strip clubs. We were imagining that concept way before that.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay.
But inspiration came, you know, from, you know, how do we make a dance song that's just innocent, double entendres, you know, where you take it where you want to go. And,
okay.
So
And
it was successful. That was a song that knocked the doors down, that made it all happen for Midnight Star. And then from there, was no parking at the dance floor. And
okay. And I want to talk about that one.
Okay.
Since you went there, as far as no parking on the dance floor, was that pretty much like the same kind of thing? I mean, were you like at a club and saw somebody saying there and you're like, no, you can't? I mean, how did that come about?
So Bobby Lovelace is one of the primary writers on there with Vincent and some of the guys. But everywhere you go, you're looking for things. So you see a no parking sign, you know, 100 times a day if you're traveling around. So to put no parking, wow, no parking on the dance floor. That's like, whoa. The visual, and that's what powerful songwriting is all about. So big ups to that. So that's one thing when I talk to songwriters, I'm like, you know, what is your concept? Not only that, what is your title? A lot of writers will write a song and just name it something obscure. And that works about every now and then. Every now and now. It might even be a word in the song, they just title it something else. But if you have a strong concept and a strong title, then your building blocks become much more legendary, much longer lived. Because as soon as you hear the word, you know the whole song. Like you say, once you're in the park on the dance floor, you're already singing it. If once you've heard it, you know, once, twice, 100 times or whatever, you whip it.
And Midas Touch.
Midas Touch, that was written by Bo Watson and his sister June. And
that's my cut.
That's your cut. Yeah. So
that's my cut.
Wet My Whistle was the predecessor to Midas Touch. You can hear the sound.
Yeah.
You
See,
can hear
you're gonna be going now.
the similar things to it. So, but once again, the title just kills it, and the title is so big that we just have a new commercial from a major artist coming out. I won't spoil it for people until it comes out, but using that song, and reinterpolating it. So
it was using which one?
Midas Touch.
Using okay.
Yeah. Okay. A lot of requests for Midas Touches, a lot of sample requests for Curious, written by Melvin Gentry and I can't remember all the writers, but Melvin was the primary writer on that one. So we just when we were doing the parking on the dance floor, we had already done 3 albums that didn't break through, didn't break the door down. Good stuff, but not that one thing that just, when Freakazoid came out, they didn't have to promote it. All you had to do was take it to a DJ at a club and put it on. Because we tested it against Atomic Dog. And if you can come behind Atomic Dog and keep the dance floor packed, then
you got
something's germinating there.
Right. Yes.
We proved that. So that knocked the door down for all those other songs. But on that album, you know, we vowed to make every song on the album be a potential hit. So we were very scrutinous about what we chose, and the ones that didn't make it and the ones that did make it. And that concept, you know, pays dividends. We sold over 2.5 million records that first outing, the most records sold of any band that year, outselling Earth, Wind and Fire, which are our idols, you know.
Right.
Something to that.
Okay. So you're doing that, and then other artists start coming knocking at the door. Hey, you know, you write a lot for you guys. We need some stuff for us. Can you do that? And you did it.
Yeah, and one of the first things I did was the remix for Radioactivity. I got radio. So I was a co-producer, and that was my first remix ever known.
Okay.
To actually work with somebody else, I was like, oh wow, okay, this is interesting.
Right.
And then Dick Griffey came along with the whole Solar roster. What do you got for Climax? What do you got for the Whispers? Meeting in the latest room for Climax. For the Whispers, we did Contagious and Some Kind of Lover. We did some stuff with Shalimar. With Dynasty, Here I Am. began to work with the rest of the Solar groups, and then once leaving Midnight Star, my brother and I went out and began to really go crazy with producing other people.
Oh, okay.
And that's when the first project after leaving Midnight Star was Natalie Cole. And what an ironic situation that was.
How so?
Our Midnight Star first major concert, which was playing at the Kentucky State Homecoming. And we were opening for Natalie Cole.
Wow.
Here we are close to 10 years later, now producing her. And so I wrote the song Jumpstart My Heart, and flew to California to meet with her and her A&R rep, Jerry Griffith. And to play the song for her the first time and to show her how it goes. I was never much for doing demos. Demos can be very misleading because where you start now is where you end, but it takes an A&R person that could hear it. And in today's market, they want to hear a finished record.
Exactly.
And they say, oh, I like this finished record, let's put it out. But back in the day, it was like, oh, you got a great idea, you got a great concept, get in there and work on it, and now you got it. But Jumpstart My Heart, we did four versions before we got to the version that became the record, which became a #1 record.
4 versions.
Yeah, so it took digging. It wasn't like, okay, you got a great hook, you got a great concept. I said, no, you got to have a great beat too. You got to have a great thing to put this thing together.
Right.
So to get that beat right, it was four different versions.
Nice.
And after that was Levert. Sylvia Rome reached out and says, we have this young group, they sound like the OJs. In fact, they're the OJ's son. What you got for them?
What did you think of that when they came with that? We got the OJ sons here.
I was like, no way. Right. And it's like, oh, and by the way, Gerald Levert sounds just like his father. I'm like, no. How can a kid sound that old?
Right.
Or that mature, or seasoned. Man.
And then when you heard them, I wish I could see the look on your face when you heard them.
Yes, well, I heard some of the stuff. I said, okay. And so I went back to my 300 list of concepts. Because this palm reader told me that I had a song that I hadn't put out yet that could have amazing potential. It's something you might be overlooking. You haven't thought about it in a while. And that was prior to this. So let me go to my list. I said, my list, Casanova. I'm like, oh. And I had already had the chorus for Casanova. Because I didn't take it seriously because I wrote it as a country western song.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you about that one because that concept always got me. I'm like, wow, how did you come up with that one with Casanova?
We used to ride up and down the highway from between Louisville, Kentucky and Cincinnati, Ohio, because my stepfather was a Greyhound bus driver and we had family in Louisville and lived in Cincinnati. So, you had a lot of AM radio. If you got anything, your little transistor radio, whatever.
Right.
So I would just sing along and rap. And I was like, I'm much on Casanova.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of country music. Me and Romeo ain't never been friends.
Oh, okay.
So that's all I had. I probably didn't even have Casanova. I didn't even have that part. But I pulled that concept out and I said,
I mean, but
wow.
Reggie, even that line there, when I first heard that, I'm like, what? I mean, such a great line, I mean, I am much on Casanova, me and Romeo, I never, like, what?
Yeah, so
I mean, great writing, man. Really great writing, really.
Thank you so much.
And that's just a small example of your talent, man. Crazy.
Yeah, so then it became okay, to finish enough of this song so that I can let the guys hear it. And once again, the A&R staff was very, had what we call big ears. They could hear, not only this would be a good song, but this is a career builder for them because it gives them an image of being young Casanovas. It gives them something to shoot towards. Of course, we finished the song, recorded, brought them into Cincinnati to put their vocals on it. And, to hear them in the studio, I mean, first take, second take, whatever, just blew it out the box. But there was one line.
Really?
when you sing as great as Joe Levert, you want to sometimes show everybody in the world how great you can sing. So that one line, gonna sing it to you time and time again. Mm-hmm. He wanted to riff on that. I said, Joe, you gotta just sing it straight. Everybody in the whole world is gonna be singing.
Wait a minute, say that part again. I just lost you again. You were saying, Joe.
That's the line that everybody in the whole world is going to be singing. So if you riff on it, you're not teaching them how to sing that line.
There you go.
You've just thrown away your most powerful thing that you had. He's like, why I got to do it again? I'm just do it one more time, Joe. Why? One more time, Joe. Okay, Joe, straighten it out. Just do it straight, Joe. Wait, why can't we do it like this? No, Joe, just sing it like that.
Wow, he really made it an issue, huh?
Yeah. Oh, well, you know, it's an issue when you're producing. You know, that's the one thing Quincy Jones taught me. Is, you know, you cannot compromise on what's real. You know, producing is not a democracy. It's not you vote, and I feel this way and you feel that way. No, it's like, if this is the vision, if we don't capture this vision, then we shouldn't even be here because we've lost everything else. It's that important. And the same thing with lyrics. People just write lyrics and say, well, I wrote my lyrics, I'm not changing them. I mean, where's your 5th draft? Where's your 10th draft? You can't go no deeper than that. You just want to rhyme because it rhymes, or do you want to say something? Can you say something and rhyme? You know, who are you? So, so a lot of those things come into play when you're reaching for that excellence. But I got about 9 more minutes left, so we better get to where you want to get to. Or before
okay. Real quick, I do want to, if you don't mind, I want to touch real quick about your mom and how instrumental she was in your life. I mean, totally supportive. I read a thing where she was not only co-manager of Midnight Star, manager of the deal. James Brown to attend her grand opening, her flower shop.
You got good stuff there.
Hey, I mean, if you don't mind,
I got an hour to talk about my mother. Yeah, you know, when she recently passed away on Christmas Day.
I'm sorry.
2019. We lost her sister, our aunt, on December 30th, 2020, and my aunt died of COVID. But with my mother, you know, at her memorial, her homegoing, you know, I didn't speak at the memorial because I knew I couldn't get, you know, through 2 words.
I understand.
And I often, you know, and I know the 3-4 words that I wanted to say, which I can say now, is that to totally empower your children. You know, we have a lot of parents that go through that. You know, I wasn't nothing, and you ain't gonna be nothing.
That's why I brought that up, because you said earlier, as far as like when you asked your mom, she's like, of course, you know, go, you know, take care of yourself here, but of course.
And that's kind of what I was going to lead to, is like every step of my life, you know, came across those barriers, you know. A lot of times, even parents are like, you know, go get a job, just get a job. You know?
A real job.
That's the word, a real job. You know, and you were creative and you're trying to find your path. And you know, a lot of times you have to do that. But any way possible, your real job should be pursuing your dreams, your career, whether it be college or whether it be interning or whether it be taking a job somewhere that can advance you. But she was totally always supportive, always making a way. You know, if she had to go hungry herself to feed us, then that's what she did.
And not only of you, but I mean, of those that were up and coming in the neighborhood there. I mean, those were in the community.
She was raised up in a business kind of way, where her grandmother owned land in Louisville, Kentucky, and made sure all of her children, including our grandparents, had a piece of land to build their houses. And
wow,
that was born to my mother. She started her own business finally after many years that she went back to school for floral design and opened up Larson's Flower Barn, you know, our family business, which was her flower shop. She put an ice cream parlor in the back for the kids to run the ice cream parlor and for her to take care of the flowers, because she knew that us being that young, we needed something that was ours, not just to step into her career as a floral designer. And as you mentioned, for our grand opening, she called James Brown up and said, hey, she got him on the phone. That's the hard part.
She called James Brown.
Got him on the phone at this hotel And hi, my brother. This is your sister Gloria Larson, and I've just opened up a new flower shop here in North Avondale in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I was just wondering if you could come by and be the president of our grand opening. And James Brown he said, yes, I would love to. But if you have a big crowd standing outdoors, I'm just going to drive on past. So we had to keep it very, very close knit with the family and a few neighbors that were really close by. And that started it all off. By the time we were playing instruments, and we're sitting there looking at James Brown, like with our eyes bugged out.
Right.
And, so many years later, we're now doing a concert with James Brown as Midnight Star.
Wow.
And we have these 8x10 glossies of ourselves from the flower shop of us with James Brown.
Really?
I road manager takes them backstage and lets James Brown see him. And we never saw those pictures again.
Oh.
All we have now is the Polaroids that are bubbling up and dying out. Yeah, that's that was a lesson that was. God.
Right. Okay.
But, so to that James Brown thing, like when I wanted to leave high school early, my mother said, sure, you know what you have to do. Graduated early, I was in the top 10% of my class. Then that formed Midnight Star. I said, Mom, I got this band now. I think, we want to leave school and pursue the career. She says, yes, that's what you should do. Go ahead. In fact, I'll come in and help. So she began to help and organize the schedules, making sure everything was taken care of, the gigs, money, the contracts, booking gigs, and then evolved to manager and then co-manager. So we then brought in Pablo Davis as another manager to round out the management team, and that took the whole No Parking album to the next heights. A year or two later, we recognized the Deal, who we had worked with many years before, and who were also from Cincinnati and as well as Indianapolis. Signed a deal to Midstar Music, our production company. That was L.A. Reid and Babyface, launching their career, then allowing them to produce themselves after producing their first album, Body Talk, which I produced with the #2 record. The second album they did themselves, and the third album they began to blow up. And so the fruit that falls from the trees is what it's all about. So those guys are doing amazing things.
Awesome.
And they currently have a new single out called Sabrina, which is available on all the internet access.
Thank you for mentioning
we have the Merch store is open for your merchandise. You can get a Sabrina t-shirt, hat, whatever you want to get. The concept of Sabrina is it's a story of an African princess who meets a balladeer singer, fall in love, and then he has to leave to go around the world. But from this song, it evolved to say that no woman should ever be called outside her name. She should always be treated like a princess or a queen. So the logo is this beautiful Aphrodite type of queen aspect, which works for men as well as women. So go to ReggieCallloway.com.
Thank you.
And find all your information about what we're doing. We are currently today meeting. I think I might have more time. Let me see.
Okay, I was gonna say, do you have a minute to talk about sound royalties?
Oh, I got to talk about sound royalties, but let me just take this.
Okay.
Currently canceled today's meeting on this. Okay, so I have more time. The meeting has been canceled.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
So we can slow down.
Okay,
here.
we're only gonna be for a few more minutes anyway, so all good.
Yeah. So I was telling everybody how to reach me at ReggieCallloway.com, and there you will not only find the merchandise store and all of our music that Eddie's been talking about today. You can see it all there in one place, all the videos, as well as learn about sound royalties, which is my latest venture. About 10 years ago, I began to look at the finance side of the music business. How could we bridge those gaps between royalty payments? Those that are receiving royalties, it could be every 3 months, every 6 months.
Now, Reggie, I got to ask you, first of all, you're not busy enough?
Well, I haven't told you about the 4 board of directors that I sit on.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But yeah, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so,
but yeah, as far as sound royalties?
Yeah, so that led me to look at ways to raise capital, not only for myself, but for other creatives, because the banks don't understand, or a lot of times creatives, fall into hard times because of the way the money comes in. And after searching and developing, and I finally partnered up with my new partner, Alex Heidke at Sound Royalties. And Alex is the CEO and founder. And what we do is we specialize in making royalty advances to those that are receiving royalties, as long as you make at least $3,500 a minimum per year in any given income stream. We could possibly be able to work with you. But if you're huge, we can do deals up to $10 million per deal. And that's why we've been able to work with people like Lil Wayne and Wyclef Jean, doing a major publishing consortium type of deal with him. So there's lots of flexibilities of what can be done, but to unlock those funds, unlock those monies without a person selling their rights. That's the key thing. When a person gets in trouble, he usually the first thing he does is sells everything. And once you sell it, it's gone forever. So we offer this advanced program to take care of that. And if you insist on selling, we have a catalog assistance program, which will help you make that sale, but get you the greatest dollar amount by putting you with qualified buyers and preparing your presentation. So there's a lot of options to serve the clients. But so for the last 7 years, we've just grown and grown and grown, and been making new changes every month, to so to speak, meaning that we're working with other different funders. So we don't replace the person the money's coming from. We work with them. So we work with your BMI, your ASCAP. We work with your publishing company or your record label, or your independent distributor, CD Baby, TuneCore, DistroKey, wherever the money's coming from. We work with them to help get you money faster, so that you can do bigger and better things with it.
Yes, and not worry about it.
Yes.
Wow. Where can we find out more about Sound Royalties, or is there a way to reach you? Is there a website where we can?
Yes, when you go to my website,
ReggieCallloway.com.
There'll be a drop down under the About, and you'll see Sound Royalties. Click on that, it'll take you there. Or you can go directly to soundroyalties.com as well.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
Either way, if you come through my site, then I know you're there. I can personally help you. I'm the director of music royalty funding, and I'm happy to walk everybody through the process to make it easy.
Awesome. Okay. I was going to ask you what's next, as if, because like I said, I mean, man, you talk about busy. I mean, what's coming? What's coming from Reggie Calloway? What's on the horizon?
We have the two sides. We have the music side and the business side. I'll take the business side first, since we're kind of there. But one of the biggest things is to continue to educate all of our creatives about their income streams, where the money's coming from, how to access it. All the new changes that are coming along in the industry with the Music Modernization Act has already birthed the Music Licensing Collective, which is now collecting money for all songwriters and publishers for mechanical royalties from digital airplay from the US and branching out to around the world. So it's a blanket license where you can start getting the real money, and then someone to fight for us to raise that money. So that's amazing. But there's so many different income streams that artists aren't aware of. We're making them aware of those on a daily basis. In fact, at Sound Royalties, we have 50 income streams listed that you can download off the site for free. So definitely jump into that. So education, also finding the uses for all this music, building the music libraries. Music library is a place where thousands and thousands of songs can be stored, that can be made available to TV, film, commercials. So it's the sync production library that you write. Every song doesn't have to be a hit, but every song has a home. It could be on a TV commercial, it could be inside of a movie.
Nice.
So we want to make that access available to more people, because a lot of people are being locked out of that. So that's incredible.
I like what you just said. Every song doesn't have to be a hit, but every song has a home. That's that.
I like that too.
Yeah, right. You see.
I make a note.
Right. Definitely write
You
that down.
say things. You know, in my books, I try to capture, you know, a lot of those things. But when you say it, like you say, just so perfectly, you don't have to elaborate. It's for itself. Then on the music side is we're in this independent music market where you can basically put out as much music as you want to put out, and a lot of those same songs we talked about that find a home in a TV commercial can become a hit later because the commercial is playing it over and over and over again.
Exactly.
Now the audience is hearing it, and they say, "Where did I hear that song?" If you own that song or a piece of that song, then that's more revenue coming in for you down the line. So for us to continue to create new music that that we can control and license and make available for people, and just staying on top of how music touches and changes the world. I don't know if you caught the Marvin Gaye special, but on CNN the other night, they're playing it over again, but it was talking about the song What's Going On and that whole album and the impact 50 years later. So to have those type of iconic songs is what it's all about. And it's nothing that you can really plan on. It just happens. But if you don't put the music out there, then it never has a chance to catch on to that. So being an eternal songwriter, continue to write, and you know, eventually get back out and perform again as the world clears up, and just keep expressing it, and then keep finding a way for young talent to reach their goals. You know, assist them with connections and not only just education, but actually point them in the right direction, you know, help them with their deals and get them signed to reputable situations and keep this music business alive. It's a very priceless, underpaid resource, but it has so much power and so much meaning. You know, so as we continue to get the pay to be more equitable, you know, we want to continue to make the music because you can't hold one back for the other. Let it flow.
Let it flow. Reggie, my man. We'll close there. The perfect, great ending. First of all, it was quite an honor to have you here. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. And of course, sharing that vast knowledge of yours. Thank you. And again, we can find out everything that Reggie's doing by going to his website, ReggieCallloway.com. And Reggie, again, thank you so much for being on the playground where the players play.
Where the players play.